Conservative new media viewers, Charlotte Hornets fans around the world, JLin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, and we're here to discuss Charlotte's 108-101 victory tonight against the Indiana Pacers in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the third time the two teams have played in about the last 2 weeks, and Charlotte has won all three of them, which means they have the tiebreaker, which is fantastic. Charlotte also has a tiebreaker against the Washington Wizards, I believe. So that could help them down the stretch here. Now, coming into tonight's game, Charlotte was 8-2 in the last 10 games, so they've been playing terrific basketball. They were 32-28, which is now 33-28, so they're 5 games over 500. 500 being 28-28. You've won half and you've lost half. The best they've been this entire season is 6 games over 500 when they were 14-8 early in the year. So really, Charlotte's on a roll, and this is another nice win. They are currently the 6th seed in the East, although while I make this video, they are tied with Atlanta at 33-28, but Atlanta has the tiebreaker over Charlotte. And that's kind of how it works for playoff positioning and seeding. If the playoffs took place today, Charlotte would face the Boston Celtics, which Boston's a good team. They're very good, and they're really well coached. But that would be a winnable series for the Hornets, as compared with it might be tougher to play Cleveland, it might be tougher to play Toronto. Those are two teams that I think are better than the Celtics are. So it's great that the team keeps winning. This is helping them climb up the standings and so forth. Also, for JLin fans, we came into tonight's game with JLin having finished 2 games, Courtney Lee having finished 2 games, and 2 of the games being blowouts since Courtney Lee came to the team. So it was all evened up before tonight's game about who's in the finishing group. And tonight was kind of a unique way in which it played out tonight, and we'll discuss that. And let me just go over the game very quickly, just the outlines of the game quickly. When these two teams play, what you're usually going to get is you're going to get 3-point shooting from the Hornets against offensive rebounding from the Pacers. The Pacers are bigger, they're stronger, they're more aggressive and physical. They're going to get more rebounds. And how many offensive rebounds and second chance points can they get versus how many 3-pointers and easy layups can Charlotte score, and how many times can they put Indiana's defense into pick and rolls that they're not really good at guarding against Charlotte. It was mentioned before this game, just like it's been mentioned the last time or two these teams have played, by the Hornets announcer, that Pacers head coach Frank Vogel said that his Pacers don't match up well with the Hornets, and they don't. And we've talked about that before. However, the Pacers did have the lead in this game going into the fourth quarter. And then JLin really played a big role, and I want to talk about that. However, so basically tonight, Charlotte was able to hit a number of 3-pointers, 13 of 31, which is fantastic, 42% rate. Yes, they were out offensive rebound, but they were able to hang on. They outplayed the Pacers in the fourth quarter with a big assist on that from JLin, and they got the better of them once more. Pacers, 35 points from Paul George. Hornets were led by Kemba Walker and Nick Batum. Kemba, 33 points, 10 assists. He played a fantastic game. Nick Batum, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. JLin, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 0 assists. Jeremy played 23 minutes, shot 3 of 9 from the field, including 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. No free throw attempts, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, and Jeremy's plus-minus was a plus 15, which was tied for the best on the team with Frank Kaminsky, who also himself had a nice game with 8 points. I should also mention Al Jefferson, 13 points. Now, so you hear those stats, And there's people, and we're just going to address this right now. Let's talk about Jeremy. Let's talk about his minutes. Let's talk about what's going on. And because there's a whole bunch of people, and I can see them on Twitter, and they talk to me, and I can just see by the lack of enthusiasm. There's a whole bunch of people that feel like, well, Jeremy's kind of getting the short end of the stick here, and he's really not that important, and they're not doing him justice. I understand that. But that's definitely not the case in this game. First of all, now, Courtney Lee did play more minutes than Jeremy Lin did. And as far as the finishing group went tonight, this is kind of a tie. Actually, if anything, I would say Jeremy's got the advantage because Jeremy played 9 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then Courtney Lee played the last, 3 minutes. So Jeremy was in there with the four starters besides Courtney Lee. And then Clifford took him out late. He had just gotten a foul while guarding Monte Ellis. And the Pacers were down about 8 points. I said this on Twitter. I think what might have happened, two things I think happened. Number one, Jeremy had just played about 12 minutes in a row. He had played from about 3 minutes left in the third quarter to about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I think Clifford might have been a little concerned that Jeremy was tired at that period of time, and he didn't want Monte Ellis to attack Jeremy. Monte Ellis was really big in this game in the second half, and nobody could guard him, including Courtney Lee. However, because the Hornets were up by 8 points, they didn't need offense. They just needed defense. And I think Clifford wanted a longer, taller player against Monte, who is kind of a defensive specialist in some ways, Courtney Lee. And Jeremy had played 12 minutes in a row and might have been a little bit tired, especially because he was playing hard in the fourth quarter. And we'll talk about that in a second. So there were people upset with it. I understand that. However, let me just say this. Jeremy played the most minutes off the bench of any other player. Yes, there are some times when Courtney Lee is finishing the game rather than Jeremy Lin. However, there are times when Jeremy is finishing the game and not Courtney Lee. I'm actually glad that Clifford stayed with Jeremy as long as he did, because the last time these two teams played, remember, Courtney Lee finished the game because of Monte Ellis. And tonight, Clifford let Jeremy play longer, and that's because Jeremy was doing a really good job against Monte Ellis and just in general. So, now, Jeremy played 23 minutes tonight. Courtney Lee played 34. Obviously, Courtney played more minutes. Jeremy's down from playing maybe about 27 minutes, something like that per night. Jeremy is coming out a little bit earlier, it seems like, in the second quarter. So when he comes in late in the first, he's coming out a little bit earlier in the second. I think Clifford is just kind of dialing in his rotation. He's trying to play kind of a set rotation. And yeah, it has cut Jeremy's minutes a little bit. I don't think it's hurting. I think it's working, and I think it's keeping the team fresher. One of the things Clifford said earlier this season was when the team was really struggling on defense. This is when they were in that 20-game funk, which lasted until about 15 games ago. Clifford said something like, I'm going to have to make an adjustment to that or something. And what I believe he was talking about was how many consecutive minutes guys play. So he's trying to keep guys in for shorter rotations. Now, if you notice, Kemba will play the entire first quarter, and then he'll play a minute or two of the second quarter, and then he comes out. So it's not perfectly even. However, I think that what happens when the first unit comes back in, with 4 minutes left in the second quarter, that's when Jeremy's coming out, they're rested. They got to rest. So they're not playing 20 minutes in a row or something. Then they get to rest at halftime. And then you kind of repeat it in the third quarter. Now, the fourth quarter is when the decision has to be made. Are you going to go with Courtney Lee, or are you going to go with Jeremy Lin? Those are the only two options that seem like serious ones right now. And it's been pretty much split right down the middle. And based upon how Clifford has treated the Pacers specifically, he seems to favor Lee over Lin a little bit. And that is because of Monte Ellis. It's my understanding, and having listened to Coach Clifford after a couple of the Pacers games, that definitely seems like what he's thinking. But it's not that Jeremy's not important. Yes, he's getting a few less minutes, but he was critical in this game. And we'll go over it quarter by quarter. He was key in this game. The stats don't look great. The PER is down. The glamorous statistics don't look so hot, but he's playing well, and he really, really played well down the stretch of this game. And he played well on defense, which there's just not as many great statistics for that, so it doesn't look as good. It looks like he kind of was an afterthought in this game, but he wasn't. The thing that happened in this game was Kemba Walker and Nick Batum were both really hot shooting the ball, so they just kept shooting. Also, Jeremy was playing a lot of the time on the court with Al Jefferson. The team is starting to use Al Jefferson more on offense, which basically means you pass the ball to Al post up, and you wait to see if Al passes the ball back out to you. Okay? Look, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's really slow and ugly to watch. The thing is, the Pacers were playing Al Jefferson one-on-one. And really, there's nobody in the league who can stop Al Jefferson one-on-one. So the thing is, if they're going to play that way, you're going to make them pay for playing that way. And Al did a good job. He shot 6 of 10 for 13 points. He did a good job, and that was the strategy. But I think Al and Jeremy play well with each other. Jeremy's good at getting out of the ball where he wants it. And you will see JLin cut to the basket, and Al will give him the ball on passes, on cuts. So tonight just wasn't Jeremy's offensive night, but they didn't need it to be his offensive night. And I know it seems, it's kind of weird to say this. It sounds weird, but it's actually really good. It's actually nice to be on a team where they don't need Jeremy to do everything, because then it's a burden. Remember when Jeremy went to Houston, he himself said that he felt that he had to be the savior of Houston basketball. Well, here with the Hornets, he doesn't have to be the savior. He can just be one of the guys. Sometimes it's your night, sometimes it's Kemba's night. Tonight it was Nick Batum's night as well, Al Jefferson's night. But that doesn't mean Jeremy Lin's not important. Trust me, he's important. He's very important. I mean, he is the sixth man of this team. He is in the top 6 of players on this team. Maybe you could say, well, Al Jefferson and Kaminsky are also very important, but certainly he's one of, top 7 or 8 players on this team. This is a good team. This is a good team. So I just want to kind of buck people up. I know people are feeling down, or they feel the Hornets haven't kept their promises, and they were going to let Jeremy play through mistakes, and Jeremy's still playing a lot. He's not playing quite as much, but he's still playing a lot, and he's still very important for this team. He's really important, and I think there's going to be plenty of nights when Jeremy finishes the game, and he almost finishes tonight. Look, like I said, I'm a Jeremy Lin fan. I want him to play down the stretch every single game. I want him to play tons of minutes. I want him to have the ball in his hands. But he's playing an important role on a good team. I think he likes the team, and they're doing well. Well, good. Jeremy looked really comfortable tonight. I thought he looked really comfortable shooting, even though he missed some shots. He didn't shoot the ball well from the field. He shot 3 of 9, but he looked just fluid tonight when he was shooting the ball. He didn't look bothered. He didn't seem off. Even the shots that he missed still looked pretty good. The shot was a little bit flat. It's the only thing I'd say about it. I think what I'm saying is Jeremy looks like he's got his confidence going pretty good, and the Hornets look like they've got their team swag going pretty good. This team is starting to regain the form that they had at the beginning of the year, but they're better now. because they have better personnel. And I think adding Courtney Lee helps a lot. Of course, we know Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, but we've talked about that in other videos. I mean, he's not a factor now. But they're better. They know how to play on the road now. They know how to play defense on the road. They definitely have a lot of confidence. And you could see it in this game, and it's great because this team is starting to find its way just at the right period of time. And that's really good to see. Okay? That's the overview of the game. That's the overview of Jeremy. And now we're going to do quarter by quarter. Most of this will be the fourth quarter because that's when Jeremy really shined tonight in this game. Okay? Jeremy came in. Well, let me just say this one more time with Jeremy, just on the overall. I'm not worried about his minutes. Yes, he's only gotten cut a couple minutes. It's just a few minutes here and there. These are just slight adjustments Clifford has made. The main thing is, does he finish the game or not? That's the main thing. But other than that, I think Clifford's trying to play certain lineups at certain times and play certain guys with certain other guys. And that's kind of what's happened to Jeremy. That's why he's had a couple minutes cut from his output. But it's not that big of a deal. The main thing we will look for is, can Jeremy play at the end of the game? And he has. Some with Courtney Lee. Sometimes he hasn't, but he has some. And hopefully that's going to continue to be the case. And if he plays the way he played tonight in the fourth quarter, it's probably going to be the case more, that Jeremy's going to be playing more down the stretch. Okay, Jeremy came into the game for the first time with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first quarter. At that point in time, Indiana was up 22-18. He came in and replaced Courtney Lee. He then fouled Rodney Stuckey, who hit a jump shot, so it was 1-and-1 play. Jeremy fouled him, and Stuckey hit the jump shot as well. And then I noticed that Indiana ran a very similar play 2 times in a row against Jeremy. So they were trying to get Rodney Stuckey the ball against JLin. And maybe they thought they had something there, but I thought Jeremy played it better the second time they ran it rather than the first time. So it didn't work, even though that's what Indiana was trying to do there. Excuse me, at the end of one quarter, 31-30, Hornets led. JLin had no points, no assists, no rebounds, and he had played, just 2 minutes. Okay, moving on into the second. Then he drew a foul against Indiana, and he did a really nice job tonight drawing fouls on the Pacers, and he particularly did a good job of it in the fourth quarter. And that matters, as I was explaining to Linspired on Twitter, because for an NBA game, each quarter, each team is allowed 4 fouls. And then on the 5th foul, that means your opponent is now in the bonus. And what that means is any foul that occurs, your opponent gets free throws. And so the quicker that you can get your opponent to foul you in a quarter, the sooner in the quarter you're in the bonus and your opponent is in what is known as the penalty. The faster you put them in the penalty, the more free throws you can get. And Jeremy did a really nice job of getting fouls against the Pacers tonight. And that's not going to show up in the stats sheet, but he was really good at it, and I can assure you that the coaches know it. Okay? So here early in the second, he drew a foul. Miles Turner went to set a pick on JLin, and it was an illegal pick, like he was moving. And so that was a good job there by Jeremy to draw that foul. Then Jeremy missed his first shot of the game. It was a jump shot right from around the free throw line area, the right side of the free throw line. It literally bounced around the rim, bounced up, went around the rim again, and went out. So it almost went in. I mean, it was just kind of weird that it did not go in. Then, middle of the second quarter, you could see JLin, if you were watching the game and you had your sound on. George Hill and JLin were down by the basket, and Indiana shot the ball and they missed it. And George Hill went for the offensive rebound, and it looked like he shoved JLin. And you could see JLin, you could hear him say, "Hey." And he said, something else like, basically, the guy did push me. The guy fouled me. Why don't you call it? So that was pretty. I could hear that over the audio pretty clearly. Then Jeremy missed his second shot of the game. This was again a shot from the free throw line. This was off the dribble, just a little bit long, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, it was a little bit flat. Could have a little bit more arc on the shot, but still a pretty good shot. Finally, then he missed his third shot, so he was 0 for 3 to start the game. He cut to the basket on kind of a horns type of play, which is basically like a crisscross play. Jeremy Lamb was on one side, was on the right side of the lane, and JLin was on the left side of the lane. JLin came down the diagonally across the lane. Jeremy Lamb gave him the ball. JLin took a fadeaway jump shot, and he missed it. Okay, and at this point in the game, neither team had much offensive flow. The game started out at a really fast pace, and it was kind of up and down the court, and everybody was scoring. And now it had really slowed down. Part of that was because Al Jefferson was in the game, and the offense is slow with him. But it just, I don't know, the teams just kind of relaxed, and everything had just taken on a much slower pace. Okay. Then Jeremy played some nice defense against George Hill. George Hill got by JLin, so he drove by Jeremy. And then Jeremy recovered, and he either blocked Hill's shot or else someone else on the Hornets blocked it. But this is a typical JLin play. He lets a guy get by him, or the guy gets by him, and he stays with him, and he ends up blocking the shot from behind. And so that was a very nice defense there by JLin. Then, still middle of the second, Jeremy got his first score of the basket. This was a three-pointer on a catch-and-shoot from behind a pick set for Jeremy, about 30 degrees left of the top of the arc. We've been discussing over the last few videos whether JLin is hopping into his three-point shots or not, whether he's getting extra momentum and power. This one was no hop, but it looked great. It went right through the net, and very nice shot from Jeremy there. Then, soon after that made three-pointer by Jeremy, he missed his fourth shot of the game. He was running down the court in transition to try to put pressure on the Pacers' defense. He went up for the shot, and the shot was blocked off the backboard. However, there were two Hornets players running right behind him, and Nick Batum grabbed the rebound and put it up for an easy basket. That is what is sometimes referred to as an Iverson assist, named for Allen Iverson, who missed a lot of shots in his career. The point of it is, you who missed the shot draw all the attention of the defense. And so even if you miss the shot, nobody on defense is there to get the rebound, and your teammates are right there to get the rebound, and it essentially becomes an assist. And that's basically what that play was. So it was a smart play by Jeremy, and good job by Nick Batum to follow the play and get the easy layup off of the miss. Okay? We went then to halftime 55-50 for the Hornets, so they were up by 5 points then. However, things were going to get tougher for Charlotte in the third quarter. Moving to late in that third quarter, and now the score is 74-71, Pacers ahead, so they had come all the way back and swung the game 8 points by that time. Jeremy came in with 3 minutes and 17 seconds left in the third quarter, and he came in for Nick Batum, who looked a little bit tired at that point in time. I just thought that. Then Jeremy almost had a turnover. He drove on the left baseline and went to pass the ball, and Indiana got their hands on it. Then he did have a turnover. He was throwing the ball inbounds, and just the Indiana player read what Jeremy was going to do, and he intercepted the pass. Then Jeremy had a unconverted assist opportunity. He threw the ball to Courtney Lee for a three-pointer. That was not made. Then I made a note that says Monte Ellis has just beaten Courtney Lee for 3 times in a row on defense. So nobody was having a tremendous amount of success against Monte Ellis in the third quarter of this game, really in the second half. I thought Jeremy did a good job. Courtney did what he could do, but he was having his struggles too. However, because Courtney is taller and longer armed than Jeremy is, I think that's where Clifford's thinking is about, look, somebody's got to slow down Monte because he's really explosive when he gets going. Okay. Then Rodney Stuckey got a play against Jeremy, so it was good defense, but he converted the shot anyways. Then Jeremy missed a little fadeaway jump shot in the lane. At this point in time, Charlotte was really struggling. Jeremy actually, before he missed that fadeaway jump shot, he actually had Courtney Lee wide open in the left corner for a three-pointer, but he didn't see him. And at this moment in time, Indiana was up 80-73, and kind of the Hornets were like on their heels. They were struggling, and it affected everyone, and unfortunately it affected Jeremy a little bit on that play. Then Jeremy had a nice steal almost at the end of the quarter, and with 1 second remaining in the third quarter, Jeremy received a pass from like full court, I think from Frank Kaminsky, and he scored on a little scoop layup. And it was him and Kemba Walker. Either one of them could have scored it, and Kemba kind of stopped and let Jeremy have it, which I thought was pretty cool. And that was a nice little burst of energy for Charlotte at the end of the quarter. They made a run to cut Indiana's lead down to just 2 points heading into the fourth, where it had been like 7 points. Now let's move on into the fourth quarter, where I thought Jeremy played fantastic. Okay, at the start of the fourth quarter, Jeremy had gotten the ball, like he had gotten the ball on the Pacers side of the basket, so near, like Charlotte had to go the full court. Jeremy got the ball. He saw that Indiana was going kind of lazy going up court, so he ran down the court with the ball in his hands and got one of the Pacers to foul him. That was the first foul that he drew on the Pacers himself in that quarter. Okay, that was just a heads-up play. Then they started feeding the ball to Al Jefferson, who made 3 baskets in a row, which was really nice. Then Jeremy ran a pick and roll with, I think it was Frank Kaminsky or Al, was one of those two. Jeremy wanted to pass the ball. However, the man was covered. He couldn't pass the ball to him. So Jeremy took a jump shot and he hit it from a little bit below the free throw line. That led to an Indiana timeout with 9 minutes and 52 seconds left. And Charlotte now regained the lead 88-84. Then after that timeout, Jeremy fouled George Hill. Then Jeremy had 2 nice defensive plays in a row. He forced Rodney Stuckey into a missed three-pointer. He then forced George Hill into a missed little runner shot. George Hill tried to take Jeremy one-on-one, and he totally bricked the shot. Then he drew another foul on Indiana. I can't remember. Might have been, I don't remember which foul that was. However, that was the second foul that Jeremy had drawn himself on the Pacers in the fourth quarter. Moving on into the middle of the fourth, Jeremy had his second and final turnover of the game. He went to pass the ball to Frank Kaminsky coming off of a little curl screen, and Frank stumbled a little bit, and the pass was just kind of where Frank was going to be, and it got intercepted. So it was just wasn't a great play, but it happens. Then he had an unconverted assist opportunity to Jeremy Lamb for a three-pointer that was missed. Then soon after that, George Hill, who felt he was fouled by Jeremy Lin earlier in the quarter when Jeremy was playing defense, George Hill, like almost, to me it looked blatant. He blatantly pushed Jeremy away from him to get room in the left corner to shoot. And then he did shoot, and he hit a three-pointer. That made the score 90-87 and forced a Charlotte timeout. I'm really surprised they didn't call that foul, but they didn't. Okay. Coming out of the timeout, Jeremy had a nice little play, one of those around the horn plays, kind of the hockey assist where he passed the ball to someone. They passed the ball to Nick Batum, who hit a three-pointer. Then Jeremy cut to the basket and was fouled when he got the ball. That was the third foul that he had drawn on the Pacers himself. And I don't think anybody else on Hornets had gotten fouled yet in the quarter. As I said earlier, if you get 5 fouls in a quarter, then you're in the bonus, and everything's a free throw. So Jeremy already himself had 3 in this quarter. And I think that was the only 3 that the Pacers had. Nick Batum hit a 3. That made it 96-90. Jeremy had his final miss of the game. It was a catch-and-shoot three-pointer from 35 degrees left of the top of the arc. He did do a hop into it. He just missed it a little bit. Then he took a charge against Monty Ellis. So Monty Ellis tried to isolate against Jeremy. He drew that foul. That was the 4th foul. And that came with about, 5.5 minutes left, which is a lot of time. And so at that point in time, Jeremy had 4 fouls by himself against Pacers, meaning that Charlotte only needed 1 more foul of any variety, and they were shooting free throws for the rest of the game. And this is what I want to say. This won't show up in statistics, but the coaches will know it. It will show up when the team watches the film, and Jeremy was extremely important for this 4th quarter. He got the Pacers in foul trouble. He set the tempo for the 4th quarter with that play at the beginning where he raced up and down the court. He raced down the court and got a foul on Indiana. So he forced the tempo. He got the Pacers to commit fouls, and he played some really good defense in this quarter. Played fantastic. Okay? Then, and I put Jeremy playing extremely well, and Clifford is staying with him rather than going to Courtney Lee yet. So whatever Clifford wanted to do, he hadn't done it yet. 4 minutes and 37 seconds left. Now the Hornets were up by 9 points, and then we headed into the last 4 minutes of the game. At this point in time, Jeremy then, with about, 3 minutes left, he got a foul against Monte Ellis. So he was guarding Monte, and he fouled Monte. And at that point in time, with the Hornets up by 7 points, then Clifford switched in Courtney Lee. Not only had Jeremy played about 12 consecutive minutes right here, he played hard minutes. He took a charge. He's getting fouled. He's playing fast. I think that's part of why Clifford took him out. Jeremy was playing fantastic, and I'm sure Clifford knew it, but the Hornets were up by 7 points. You don't need to score now. Put in your defender who's fresh, sitting on the bench, and let him play against Monte, rather than Jeremy might be a little bit tired, and he just fouled Monte. So you're just kind of take away any possibility that Monte Ellis might get hot. And look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It worked. I understand it because Courtney Lee's fresh, and Jeremy just played 12 straight minutes. Okay? So he comes out with score 103-94, actually, so they're up by 9. 2 minutes and 43 seconds left. And then Charlotte kind of hung on from there. However, like I said, so technically Jeremy didn't finish the game, but he basically did, because he played longer than Clifford would have played him usually if he wasn't in the finishing group, so to speak, because the rest of the starters came back into the game with, maybe like 5-6 minutes left, and Jeremy was the only non-starter still in there. And then Clifford stayed with him until Jeremy got the foul, and Charlotte was way ahead at that point in time, and they just needed defense and no offense. So Jeremy was critical in the 4th quarter of this game. He played great. I'm going to give him I'll kind of count this as neutral in terms of who finished the game, because they both did. I mean, Jeremy played 9 minutes of the 4th quarter. Courtney Lee only played 3. Again, I have nothing against Courtney Lee. Somebody said it on Twitter. We don't need to put other people down to pump Jeremy Lee up. Courtney Lee is great. He's helping the team. But Jeremy had a big impact in that final quarter of the game, and he had an impact to help bring the team back. The team was down 82-80 going into the 4th, and when the time Jeremy came out of the game, they were up by 9 points. And Jeremy had a whole bunch to do with that. So, coming back to my theme from earlier in the video, I know some people are bummed out. I know that they don't like it because Jeremy is getting a few less minutes. His stats look a little bit worse in terms of statistics and in terms of points and PER, but it doesn't matter. He's playing great. He's playing well. Yes, his shooting, still keep working on the shooting. That's been a thing all year, but he himself said it was going to be a thing all year because he's adjusting his shot. He is changing his shooting form. And that does take time. I like I said, I love the way the team looked. I thought Jeremy's confidence was great in this game. I'm happy. And I know that there are some JLin fans who are not happy, but I feel great. Let's just move on to the next game and hopefully keep winning. As I said, we're almost at the point now where this team is with the best record or the most games over 500 that it's had the entire season. And Jeremy's an important part of that. So it's just, for me personally, it's hard to be upset. I mean, Jeremy was never going to be the star on this team because that role was already filled with Kemba and Al Jefferson, at least not this year. We have to see what's going to happen in the summer. Linspired and Jane showed pictures of Mike D'Antoni and Jeremy hugging when the Hornets played Philly the other night. So that was cool. Maybe JLin goes back to rejoin with Mike D'Antoni in Philadelphia. Now, Mike's not the head coach. He's the assistant coach. Still, that could work, depending on what happens with Philadelphia's point guard situation. However, for this season, for right now, look, we've got 21 games left in the regular season and hopefully some more games left in the postseason. I'm content. Jeremy beat out Jeremy Lamb earlier in the season for the sixth man role. I think Jeremy would have less of a role possibly if Michael Kidd-Gilchrist were still healthy, although he might be kind of switching the finishing duties with Michael, maybe. Jeremy's still important now. I think he'll still be splitting time with Courtney Lee down the stretch. We'll see what happens, but the team's winning. They like each other. Jeremy seems happy. Okay, he might be getting 3 or 4 minutes less in a game, and he's not the featured guy, but this has been a good season for him. This has been a good season for his development as an NBA player, and honestly, just to get away from the craziness of the last 3 years, and let's be honest, the last 3+ years, because at the end of New York, it got pretty silly, as Amari Stoudemire recently pointed out, and when mentioning that not everybody was thrilled with Linsanity. Because once Mike D'Antoni was left the Knicks, it was never going to be the same again for Jeremy, unfortunately, and I think that that's what some of the other people on the team wanted. So he's gone through a bunch of stuff. The 2 years in Houston and the 1 year in Los Angeles. And none of that's happening this year. Jeremy, like I said, he beat out Jeremy Lamb for the finishing role. Now he's kind of competing with Courtney Lee, or they're switching it around. But Jeremy's an important part of this team. I think he's happy. He's absolutely growing as a player, even though his shooting has been up and down this season, and just the way that he admitted that it would be. Great. Let's get through this next 21 games. Let's win. Hopefully Jeremy's finishing a lot of those games, and let's go make some noise in the playoffs. As I said, I'm optimistic. I feel good. Sure, I'd like it if Jeremy was playing 30 minutes a night, but he's doing a good job. He's doing what the team needs him to do, and I just think he's a whole lot happier in this situation than he's been in several years. So I'm really, really pleased about that. Okay, let's talk about the next game. That is coming up 3 days from now, so the team has Saturday and Sunday off. They can rest up and practice. Remember, they are now have a 7-game homestand, and tonight was game number 1. So this is when they can rest up, get healthy, win a bunch, and fatten up their record. Monday, March 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Charlotte Hornets will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in Time Warner Cable Arena in Charlotte. Minnesota is not a good team. They're talented, but they're not that good. They're young, they make mistakes, and Charlotte should win that game. So let's get it queued up. Let's get it keyed up. Guys get healed up, and let's go. Like I said, let's just win. That's how I'm feeling about things right now. So the game then will take place at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, March 8th in Taipei, Taiwan, and throughout China. That's pretty much it. Look, I'm I feel good. I mean, like I said, and I know some people are not happy, or they thought it was going to be a little bit different, but I think the main adjustment that has occurred during this year is that Jeremy isn't looked at as being the guy. He's not the man that they have to go to. But as I've said in other videos, I think that's a positive development for him. One, it takes the pressure off him. Two, he's learning other skills. He's really learning to play off the ball much better. His defense is good. He's gotten to work tremendously this year on playing shooting guard and those skills, particularly on defense. So, cool. Like I said, let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Let's keep winning. And hopefully Jeremy's finishing games and the team's doing well. That's pretty much it. So, thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. I want to thank Gary Chen of the Jeremy Only Lin Garden fan group for the artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is an artist and blogger in Taiwan. And the Jeremy Only Lin Garden is a worldwide Lin fan group that is headquartered in Taiwan. Gary is a member. You can find out more about Gary and about Jeremy Only Lin Garden if you follow the information in the video description for them. Also in the video description, you'll find information so you can check out highlights of this game. And there you will see information how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, and also how you can come and follow us on Twitter as well. I tweet during the games. I used to tweet much more, but I just don't have as much time right now. But we try to there are many people around the world who don't get to watch the games. They're busy, or it's morning where they're at, or whatever it is. So we try to kind of help them follow the games on Twitter if they have the chance to be able to do that without having the ability to watch the game. Once again, I am PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, PFV. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Great night for the team. Excellent night for Jeremy. No, it won't show up in the stat sheets. It won't. Well, there are some defensive stats that will show up in, but Jeremy played terrific in this game, and he was critical for the team winning tonight. And I'm pleased. I mean, I can't be happier, and I just encourage other people to stay upbeat, stay positive as well. Take care. Hope you're having a great night, a great day, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. We will see you in less than 72 hours when the Charlotte Hornets take on the Minnesota Timberwolves from Time Warner Cable Arena, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I also should mention that for those that are in the area, I believe that the Jeremy Lin bobblehead doll night is on March 12th, which is next Saturday. And I think it's the first 5,000 fans in the arena get a free Jeremy Lin bobblehead. And that is the game when the Hornets are taking on the Houston Rockets. I'm pretty sure about that. They've done the promo a couple of times when watching the games, and I believe it is Saturday, March 12th. Take care. Talk to you again soon. Stay positive.